We're combining a few vlogs together.
What's up, guys? So, I'm not injured or anything. I'm just laying in my futon. So, that's why it's this angle. Just try to do something different. But I know I haven't been making any vlogs or anything lately. And nothing bad happened. It just, honestly, I have this problem of, like, turning my brain off and turning the stimulation off. And you tell me if you have this issue. Maybe it's just a me thing. But, in a world where you have like instant gratification and TikToks and Instagram reels and all this other stuff. There's always something going on that gets your mind like stimulated. And there's a lot of things that I'm interested in, whether it's following baseball stuff, and I mean like that's literally every day for like 9 months, and even then you have the off season. So there's always that. There's, video game trends, or I mean, even just silly reels, wrestling stuff. And, for me, like, I like gardening. I'm trying to get better at cooking. Like, I have a dog, so I try to keep up with that. Like, I like books and audiobooks and podcasts. And there's just always things that, even when you're just, like, sitting there trying to relax, unwind, or whatever, there's always that thought of, like, is there something else I could be doing or reading on or updating or whatever? And I've been having a really hard time trying to like slow things down and clearing my mind and turning it off. And I was trying to think, and like back in the day, I feel like it wasn't an issue. I mean, it was an issue, but I knew like how to turn it off. Like it was like, all right, it's time for bed, time to unwind. Um, I don't know if I was like music, like lo-fi music, and it was read books. So I'm trying to get back to that. And like last night, I was like, a lot of the books that I have honestly are like thinker books. They're like Quiet is a book that I read about like introvert, and I have a couple of like psychology books. It's like how to change the brain, why the brain does this, like. And I mean some other stuff's like true crime stuff. So it's like a who done it? How did they not catch that? How did he get away with that? Like, and it's just not what you want to be reading when you're trying to unwind and calm down. You kind of want the like, I mean, even like sci-fi or fiction books where it's like more lighter on the brain. It's still creative stuff, and it still gets your creative juices because, me as a gamer, me as a writer, getting into Dungeons and Dragons and trying to tell my own stories as well in that way. Whenever I read a book or I hear something that's story related, I always think, okay, they did that and that's good, but what if they would have done this? But if they did go my way and do that thing, what would that lead to? Would there be another character? Would they not develop this aspect of this relationship? Like, I go down these different avenues of like, okay, could I have told a better story, or is there a purpose to this and I just haven't got to it yet? Like, almost overthinking. So it's even the sci-fi and fiction stuff. It's almost like I don't know if I can read that before bed, because you don't know if it's going to be light or if it's going to be creative stimulating. So at the end of the day, and I don't know if you can hear that, but my dog is like giving herself a bath right now. So I don't know. That probably sounds pretty gross, but at the end of the day, that's what I'm working on. Is I'm trying to clear my plate, so I find I'm not thinking about like, oh, when's the next stream, when's the next vlog coming out, when's the next baseball related thing coming out. You're like, oh, I got to prepare for this. Like, almost already feel burnt out just by the fact that like for months now I've created this world for this like RPG tabletop RPG. I had to kind of adapt rules. I had to create the world. I had to create these characters. And don't get me wrong, it was really fun. And like even on hard days, and like I literally was like doing this while I was at work. And so it was like, okay, I'm doing this. It's whatever. Like this is physically hard or whatever, and this is like a little mentally draining. But creatively, I'm doing this too. So it's like at the end of the day, I was like, man, I feel like I accomplished something. And now I'm at that part where it's like I'm not creating, I'm organizing. And organizing Well, it's fun if you're organizing your baseball hats or your book collection or your record collection. It's not fun organizing your notes. So it's kind of like I'm kind of been dreading doing it. And I did sign up for Quest Portal Pro, which I honestly almost regret that I didn't sign up earlier because this would have saved me a lot of organizing and I could have just literally been like, all right, this is created, boom, put it over here, it's done. Instead, I've switched it over to a Google Doc with notes that's more word based, where I could have just freaking just made the character on Quest Portal Pro and been done, and then put their backstory in there with all their stats. But nope, had to make it hard on myself. But you know what? Who knows if I'll ever make another world creation based on Red Rising and all that such. So we'll see. But at the end of the day, I was looking at some of my like streamer goals or content goals. I don't know if I'm gonna make them this year. Like what is it, tomorrow? I think the last day of June. So it's like shit. We're already in July, and I still haven't even gone on my family fishing trip that I'm still somewhat trying to plan. I also want to go check out a new ballpark, which I think I have that planned out. It just comes down to the funds, and which I think I'll be fine on that avenue too. It's just a matter of like how bougie do I want to be versus how resourceful do I want to be, because I'm already kind of trying to be cheap and staying at a campground for a couple of nights just because it's, I mean, I'm just there to sleep, so just pull out a tent on flat ground, and go to bed, or take the dog out for the walk in the woods or whatever. But so I'm like, I'm seeing people do stuff and I'm like, man, I'm just over here working, making my money, hitting savings, like trying to be resourceful because I'm like, who knows when something bad's gonna happen or I get hurt or whatever, and I need that money. So I'm like, I need to get my savings back to what it was. And again, it's just like savings, creative, practical, planning, organizing, and all this other such. And then you got, friends and stuff that are going through issues as well. So you're trying to be supportive and just like, at the end of the day, you got to have that ability or that time to just be able to like unwind, lock it away, and say, day's over with. Nothing else you can do with it. Worry about it tomorrow if you need to. And turn it off. Throw some music on or whatever you got to do and just unwind. Go to bed. Get your 8 hours of sleep, which I know most people aren't getting. Trust me, it is important. I try and I've normally I've been very good about it, and maybe that's why I am a little bit stressed and a little tired. It's because I haven't been putting the time to get my full 8 hours to unwind a little bit, not feel pressure, and then get to sleep and get my 8 hours. So that's on me. That's on me. So I'm gonna try to do better on that. I'm gonna try to do better on this stuff too. But I mean, 4th of July is coming up. I'm super pumped that I only have to work 4 days this week, and I have a 3-day weekend with fireworks, with I think decent weather, and I get to take Violet out for kind of our first real 4th of July. Last year I got her at the end of April, basically May, and I wasn't sure how she was going to react to fireworks. And she didn't really seem bothered by them last year. We kind of drove to a distance and watched from a distance without people. And she seemed to she had her like doggy grin smiling, was like eyes darting back and forth. So she seemed to really like it. And not like the like alert scared, because her tail spikes up during that when she's like overstimulated or afraid or excited. It was her stuff was fine. It was smooth, whatever. It was just like she was just like, "What is this? This is cool. I've never seen this before." So I'm excited to fully plan that out and have a real 4th of July. And maybe, who knows, maybe we'll finally be able to start a tradition here for 4th of July, because I've not normally had 4th of July's off. So this is pretty awesome this year. But regardless, it's past my bedtime. I need to get to bed. Violet's ready for bed. So I'll check you guys in the next one. So it's past my bedtime. It is Sunday on 4th of July weekend, and a buddy of mine at work was talking about, he hopped on Chat GPT and was going over his diet, and he wanted to lose some weight and what was the ways to fix it. And
he was looking up some recipes and he was doing a lot of like meal prep and stuff like that. So, but he's like serious about it, and he kind of needs to be, I guess. Not like he's not like super overweight or anything like that, but he's had some medical concerns, specifically his heart, which I don't want to go into it too much, but you know, stuff like that happens. You got to make some changes. Like you can't just be on medication the rest of your life. It's simpler that way, but it's not better for you to do that way. The better way is to change your lifestyles, adjust your diets, find fitness or exercise that works for you. Well, since our job, we walk. I mean, we lift stuff, but we also walk at least 10,000 steps a day, and we're usually in the heat, so we're burning calories quite a bit. But at the same time, when you're on the road all the time, it's not like you can go stop and get a salad usually and, have time or have the place to do it. So, you end up eating a burger or pizza or fast food or whatever. And that's kind of like the downfall, and I've worked a lot of jobs that are kind of like that as well, where it's like, well, you only have a half hour or you only can get what you can get on the road. So you're eating like shit. So I was curious about that because I was like, I feel like some weeks I'm doing really well, and then other weeks I feel like I'm just eating pizza every day. So I was like, sat down with ChatGPT and actually talked it out, and kind of went over like my regular diet because I was like, I feel like a diet's pretty good, but that one cheat day or whatever must really be costing me, and that kind of what it was like. I have the same kind of breakfast every day. Lunch sometimes I skip it. Sometimes I'm prepared and have my little faux turkey sandwich and chips, which we're now replacing chips with um, different nut combos, different like trail mix stuff like that. Eventually, when I get almonds will be my go-to because I do love almonds. And I was buying these crackers, but they're not really filling. They don't really provide much, and they're like 190 calories. So that was one of those like, hey, this is really helping you, but it's costing you calories. So I was like, okay, we'll probably ditch those, or whenever we run out, we just won't buy anymore. And then, the other days was like, Sunday when it is this hot, you come home, you don't really want to make anything. So it's like kind of just munch on such. But, that maybe calorie wise, that's helping me. But then I feel like I'm not getting the full recovery that I need from day at work. So then by the end of the week, like I'm just dragging and whatever. And so, kind of broke things down, small changes here and there. Really, what has been costing me is weekends. Is making mixed drinks. That's kind of the adult thing or whatever. But it's like you can have a pizza, you can have whatever. Like I eat a lot of like I make quesadillas, but I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat like overindulge on chicken or anything like that or beef. It's just like I love black beans, so usually it's like black beans or mushrooms mixed with a little cheese and like maybe some pico de gallo, and it's like that's the quesadilla, freaking delicious, and some sauce. So I was like, small changes here and there. Also for me, I since I am on the road a lot, and I actually prefer to like drink like my like not alcohol but like drink liquids to keep me going throughout the day instead of like having a snack and munch so I was like, okay, well, I usually like something that's got a little bit of flavor because like water, it helps you dehydrate you, but I feel like it doesn't like, I don't know, spike the adrenaline or the sugar levels or whatever. So it's like, well, usually have an energy drink. It's like, well, get this like this energy drink's fine, but this one's better. Use that one. If you need something with flavor, maybe get a Powerade Zero, and that'll also help you like stay hydrated. So it's like small changes here and there. But tonight, I actually was like, you know what? This Cardinals, I was gonna stream tonight, which is also why I'm making this video because I was like, well, if it makes some videos, kind of makes up for it. But I was gonna stream tonight the Cardinals Cubs game. I'm a Cardinals fan, big rivalry. Got delayed an hour because of the rain, and I was like, I won't be able to get stuff I want to get done, so we just won't stream. And then it just turned into a terrible game. So it's like, okay, we'll stop watching in the fifth inning, flipped over to something else. Took Violet for a walk, and then it just started cooking. So, well, first off, we like I did a little bit of shopping this weekend, and we went through the cupboards. I cleaned out my fridge, so I wiped down my fridge. I guess I didn't really do much with the freezer, but usually I don't have much in my freezer to begin with. But tossed out all the bad stuff that had gone bad, stuff that the expiration dates were bad or whatever. Just kind of making up space, cleaning it out, and then reorganized. Wiped the shelves, reorganized. So one of the things Chad GPT said was like, usually I make these like faux turkey sandwiches, a little bit of cheese. It's like non-dairy cheese. Maybe I put a little oregano on there, and then like a hot sauce or a mustard. And one of the things they had said was like, well, if you ever feel like it's getting like stale or you want to change it up, like maybe make it into a wrap. And I was like, I don't like sandwiches. I don't normally make into a wrap, so that's not usually my thing. But maybe if I like wrapped it up in like kale or something, yeah, that would work because that's kind of what I think of when wraps. But I do love wraps, so I picked up like a spinach and a tomato wrap. But when I make those, I prefer to make these little like again, I'm not quite sure what they're made out of. I don't know if it's more tofu or tempeh or what, but they're basically like these little like chicken strip things, like torn turkey or whatever. And I like to throw those in the wrap, and I got my spices, got my sauces, and then I got my non-dairy cheese. So I made, I guess one is technically like one long one, so I made 3 of those. And then I have a bunch of like canned vegetables and such that I've been like, man, I need to use these more. So I just kind of fried up on the stovetop 1 can of potatoes just as like a little side piece. So it's like kind of like a wrap and fries. So I only made 1, so it was like you only use 1 can because I didn't really have a space for it on my stovetop. So yeah, I made 3 wraps, but enough of the side piece tomatoes or whatever for only that would fit in 2 of them. So I was like, okay, well, those are probably more dinner for me because I like to warm up potatoes where the sandwiches are cold and I can just eat them whatever. And I went through my cupboards and like again I went shopping this weekend because I was like, I really kind of like trail mix, whether it's spicy, whether it's sweet, whatever. Like I tend to like that stuff as like munch food, especially if you can't, if you don't have time to eat, which sadly that happens sometimes. They're nice little finger foods. They're flavorful and whatever. Usually the nuts and the frozen fruits or whatever usually somewhat good for you. I think they're good for you. I just can't remember which is which. But so I went through my cupboards and I knew I had a bunch of bags in there that were like different nut based. This was good for energy. This was good for omega. This was good for fiber. This was whatever. And I bought these like I thought they were sandwich bags, but they were actually like half the size of a sandwich bag. So I was like, these are actually like the perfect size for throwing in these different like nut combos. So basically, all the different bag types, or all the different types of nuts, combos, raisins, whatever, just made a thing of different nuts and whatever, put them in there. And now that it has been super warm out, I've been bringing my cooler to work. So it's like, throw a bag of that on top of the sandwiches, and that's kind of like the lunch. And then I also have my Powerade. I have like flavored water, and then I bought a thing of Ollie's had a special for these Rain energy drinks, which I guess are only 10 calories, which is kind of nice. So got one of those as well. So it's like start the day, middle of the day, end of the day. I have my drinks, I have my munchies, I have my lunch, I have my dinner. I made these like manwiches today. So I have 2 of those that are left over. So there's another little dinner thing, which maybe tomorrow night I make another little potato thing. So then those manwiches can have like, burger and fries type of thing. But I also like carrots and I also like green beans. So I'm kind of like, I want to make something that would fit with that stuff. But again, I have these little like fish fillets, like veggie fish fillet type things in my freezer. I just didn't think to make those, which those actually go really good with the carrots and the peas and the green beans, whatever. So, but yeah, that's what I was doing tonight, kind of organizing my fridge, and I'm gonna show you a little bit of what it looks like without revealing too much. All right. So I guess funny enough, I guess this is really get to know me, but this is my cupboard. We have Violet's dry food, a bunch of her treats. She has basically her own drawer of snacks and treats and such because I have an aunt, I have a mom, I have a dad, I have a brother, I have myself, and we've just bought her so much food. And I'm not gonna just completely make her 400 pounds. So I have a backlog, and then I also have a bark box that sends stuff sometimes. So when I bought her medicine, I got some of these. I'm not gonna say they're great or they're not. Some are good, some are not. There's one of them that kind of messes up her stomach. These are always basically my routine every morning. Is I have 2 of these bars with a V8 juice, and that's what gets me going. Like I said, I got a bunch of canned vegetables. I've had these. This isn't like I went out and splurged or anything like that. Like my mom has a connection with Del Monte, so every couple of years I load up and just have stuff because I do like this. I do like this. I do like this. The tomato paste stuff, I haven't really utilized it much, but when I make my own little pizzas, and I have back here is, I forgot I had that. There's only one in there. So we got some garbanzo beans, which I actually are one of my favorite beans as well. There's the potato things with some popcorn. And then these are all the little mixes of nuts and such that I got. So it's okay, when I know I'm not going to have much time today or whatever, I'm just going to grab a bag or 2 of these and throw them in the truck just in case for emergency. And then these are kind of the bad stuff. So I always like making chips and cheese for nachos. That was at Ollie's. It was like $1.50. These are the crackers that I like, but yeah, I looked at them and 190 calories. And they don't really saturated fats, sodium, very little fiber, very little protein. There's more sugar. There's more sugar than there is protein and whatever combined. So I was okay, that's bad on me. This I just kind of kept in there because when I bought all those little bags of chips, well, now I just throw stuff in there. So, but that's that. My kitchen's a mess. Don't judge me. Cleaned this out a bunch and then organized. So I still got some leftover mushrooms and basically onions that I need to use. This is just what I keep all my mustards in because I love mustards. Up top, so this is the lunch stuff. So these are the sandwiches that I made with some nuts combo. These are all my V8s that I drink, and I do drink one a day. These are actually a couple of Reigns up here, just because it is kind of like a orangey. So I feel like that's more of a breakfast thing. So it's drink one of these, maybe grab one of these if I feel I'm still dehydrated. These are probably dinner things. So these are all the wraps that I made. This is the leftover manwich stuff, and then that's the sauce behind it in case I want to make more. I learned the hard way that you don't need to use the whole can. Otherwise, it just kind of tastes like you're just eating tomato paste, I feel like. So, my Cardinals cooler. And then here's all the kind of drinks for energy and then also dehydration. And then this is a brand of food that my dog loves. I wish they were bigger, but at the same time, I don't because they are kind of fresh pet stuff. So, and then back when I had all these food plan stuff, I have all these cooler packs that I don't know what to do with, so I just kind of sat them there. But yeah, I got my actual cheese and then my vegan cheese, and then over here I just got some garlic in there and some potatoes that I can use later. So, and then because water is pretty terrible off the tap right now, I have all these jugs of water that have been filtered because I just have to. So that's what my fridge looks like now, guys. And then that's kind of what my freezer looks like. So kind of quick, easy stuff. Frozen foods, not really great for you, but they are what they are. They meet a purpose. So this is kind of the devil's corner. Because, well, first off, I bought these LaCroix things because they had mentioned those as a decent substitute. And I freaking hate them. They have no flavor. They're just carbonated water, and I hate carbonated water. So this is the stuff I got to get through. This is stuff I bought for mixes with, liquor. I love Arizona brand. I love that they're actually they take care of themselves and they're cheap or whatever, but I didn't realize that. And their sizes are huge. What I didn't realize, though, is that's not 100 calories per thing. That's 100 calories per serving, and this is approximately 4 servings. So this is 400 calories if I drink that. So same thing. These big cans, again, I love that they're 99 cents. I think I actually got them on sale for 79 cents, but one can is 270 calories, and it's like, oh, I am drinking all my calories. So whenever this stuff's up, the stuff's gone. So then there's some teas back here as well. I think these are actually okay. I think they're a little sweet, but let me look. So 1 serving per container, so this is 100 calories. So really, I feel like if it's a drink, it needs to be like 100 calories or less. So that's the stuff that whenever I finally finish, I'm probably not going to replenish. And then I got another case of those Reigns down there.